A release, a season-ending injury. Ask Demeco about weather, and CJ Stroud spoke as well. Let's go inside the locker room as preparation for the Chiefs continues.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the locker room on YouTube. You know what it is. Let's get it. Hey, locker room. Yeah, we in the locker room. Texas talk. Yeah, you know what we about to do. Localize every angle's what we really do. We the source. We the pulse of the city too. Landlocked. Got the game.
It is the locker room, number one source for Texans digital content. I'm Landry Locker. I was on the scene this morning. I'm on the scene often. You can also hear me / see me on SNL and all podcast platforms, as well as here on YouTube. This segment brought to you by BetUS. Use the promo code YouTube150 and you'll get 150% bonus up to $2,000 just in time for the playoffs. It's that pigskin gambling. It is at its peak right now. And it's very sad. It's exciting, but it's also very sad because we know that the days are numbered when it comes to gambling on football. So use that promo code YouTube150, get 150% bonus on all deposits up to $2,000. We'll get to the release of Diontae Johnson, the season-ending injury of Cade Stover, but first, let's hear from Demeco Ryans. Let's hear what Demeco had to say. I asked him, and you're going to hear Cody Stutes as well, the other half of SNL. I asked Demeco, though, about the weather. It's very obvious the Texans, they don't like cold weather. I hate cold weather. I'm sure Demeco hates it. The Chiefs, I'm sure they're not overly thrilled about it, but let's hear what Demeco had to say about that. And then Cody's going to ask about the other thing that is polarizing when you face the Chiefs, the officials. Take it away, Demeco.
With warm weather or indoor teams playing in cold weather this time of the year?
The weather can be a challenge if you allow it to be a challenge. For me and for our guys, it's something we can't control. You don't control the weather, right? Wherever we have to play, we're ready to go play. We understand we'll be on the road. It's going to be cold. That's what we have to deal with, and it's not a challenge for us. It's just something the other team has to deal with as well. So we're ready to go. There's no excuses about weather. We got to go suit up and we got to go play ball.
What goes into your interaction before and during the game with the officiating crew? Is there things that you want to get clarified with them ahead of time? Do you maybe give them a heads up on, hey, this is happening, how I see it? What kind of that relationship, head coach to officiating crew?
When it comes to the officiating crew, we meet prior to the game, right? They'll come in and they'll ask if I have any questions on anything that I've seen on film from the other team. They'll give me feedback from anything that they've seen that possibly that we're doing that we need to correct. So it's been really great communication with the officials, just making sure we're on the same page before you go in. The simple things, you have anybody reporting, captains, all the standard things you go over, but mainly just to answer. They're available to answer any questions that I may have prior to the game, and our officials done a great job of communicating right during the game as well. So the guys have been doing a great job of just keeping the lines of communication open. Anytime we have questions during the game, the head ref, he's available and he's ready to come over at any time and answer. So our refs has been doing a good job.
Oh, there you go. That's Demeco Ryans talking about the refs with Cody Stutes asking the question. Didn't want to come out and say, do you think that Kansas City gets the favorable calls? We all know that. We all know that to be true. But it's just kind of part of the thing that happens. Will on the chat asks, do we have a better wide receiver room than Buffalo right now? I would say no. Not at all. I think you would take what they have with Shakir, Coleman, Amari Cooper. I don't even think it's really close. Hollins. I would say the answer to that is no. I don't think any team. Nico is Nico, and then two down. I think the Texans have the worst in the league, which makes the Diontae Johnson release the big news of the day. I think a little bit fascinating because this guy is he is one of the faces of just a damn disgrace when it comes to the football career that he's laid out for himself. You know, you get traded from Pittsburgh, you kind of get the benefit of the doubt, although they're still being patient with George Pickens. You go to Carolina, it doesn't work out, and Bryce Young all of a sudden having a really, really good year. When you're gone, you kind of wonder what's going on there. Then because of the talent, Baltimore, they roll the dice on you, and you refuse to go into a game in which Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson are playing. And then you go to the Texans with their weak wide receiver room, and after they win a game and everyone's celebrating and happy, you're throwing a hissy fit and whining in the locker room, which is what myself and Cody Stutes talked about. And now he got his release, which I'm sure he's not too upset about. I just don't know what the situation will be for Diontae Johnson. Like, what exactly is the ideal place? Like, if the two of the more respected organizations in the league want nothing to do with you, and then you have the Texans, who they're not that, but another playoff team with a limited roster, they want nothing to do with you. And then the Carolina Panthers, the worst team in the league, want nothing to do with you. Like, where exactly is the ideal scenario for Diontae Johnson? He is one of the faces of when keeping it real goes wrong. And it just kind of is what it is there. Didn't know where he was lining up either. Like, he didn't even know where to go, and they were having to guide him when he was in. So Diontae Johnson gone. The wide receiver group, very, very suspect. Doyle says, welcome KC fans. Yeah, for sure. Welcome Kansas City fans. No problem with Chiefs fans coming through. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting ball game. You also have the news that Cade Stover is going on injured reserve. I don't know how huge of a deal this is. This does mean Quintariano season is alive as we know it. I know that's kind of one of the big bits in here, but I think Quintariano, who was a full participant in practice today, he's someone to keep an eye on, and we'll see how that whole thing goes as well. Let's hear from CJ Stroud. CJ Stroud spoke. This one's going to be a little bit quicker, not going to lie, kind of a headache. And we got a long-ass practice tomorrow where a lot of stuff's going to develop. If you missed Joe Mixon's media availability, that's available in the video section. So go check that out as well. Let's hear from CJ Stroud, react to what he had to say, and we'll also react to the biggest takeaways from practice today here live in the locker room. Take it away, CJ.
Be the first team that's ever here that has ever got to the AFC Championship game?
Man, that'd be huge, I didn't know that, but I think that'll be a huge accomplishment, and, this team are really motivated to, go up there and play some good ball, and, a great Kansas City team was been in these moments forever, so, it's gonna take all of us, it's gonna take a lot of, execution and, get that done, so got to be on our A game.
How fun are these moments? It was not that many years ago you were in high school and college watching the Patrick Mahomes. Now you'll be out there competing against the Chiefs in a big-time game.
Yeah, it's moments you dream of. You watch them, like you said, growing up and dreaming of the moments to be sharing that field or be competing in those moments. So, I'm very excited and, ready to roll. But, got to have a good week of preparation. But, yeah, definitely excited for it.
CJ, what do you do when you're facing a team, especially outside the division for the second time, so close together? Is it helpful? Do you look back at it, or you just try to look forward? How do you approach that? Yeah,
you definitely got to go back and, see, things that worked, things that didn't work, and I think that definitely helps playing them so recently, but, they also have that advantage as well. So, we got to be able to, still have a new game plan and do things that are, new. And but, yeah, it definitely does help to see a familiar team again. And, they do a lot of great things. And, we didn't really see a whole bunch of it. I think it was like the exotic things. So, I wouldn't be surprised if that stuff started to show up. So, yeah, but it definitely does help that we see them.
They didn't even try to confuse him. I think that's kind of interesting. So he's saying he didn't see any of the exotic stuff. So the good game that he had, I mean, he's kind of minimizing it, saying, yeah, they didn't even throw the kitchen sink at me. So Steve S. and what they got going there in Kansas City, CJ anticipates a lot more, which is natural in the playoffs, but they needed that win pretty badly. They were toe-to-toe with the Bills at the time. But he says that he didn't really see anything crazy from him. So that's interesting to hear from the quarterback. Back to CJ.
you guys are. When you guys get to this stage, obviously execution is its own thing, but just to be on the same page, the same mindset, walking in the same direction together, how important is that this time of year?
It's huge. Now you think about it's only 8 teams left, and it seems like you're like lonely at practice. Not saying like you ever worried about anybody else, but you always knew other teams were practicing. Now it's only, was that 7 other teams. So, it's kind of unique. It feels a little weird, but it kind of feels like when you're in youth ball and you play all the way to like Thanksgiving, because you usually don't play that long, unless you make it to the championship. So kind of how it feels, and it's cool because, we get another week to hang out with one another and, go spend time with one another off the field, and, I think that definitely would be nice. But these type of games is about who stays tight-knit because, crazy things happen in the playoffs. Just like last game, crazy things happen. Whoever can, gel together usually is the ones to win. So.
Joe Mixon's had a fantastic year. Can you describe what this season's been like, watching him have that success and the bond you guys have personally built?
Yeah, Joe has been, doing great. Been, helpful to all of us. Making our linemen right, but our linemen have been doing a great job in the run game. Giving him the opportunities, and he takes them every time. So it's been cool to watch. Sometimes I just hand it off and watch him go to work. So it's nice to have that. And not have a whole bunch on my plate all the time. But yeah, even when our run game isn't working, I know he leans on me. So it's just playing off one another, playing complementary football. But it's very helpful to have somebody like Joe.
How about personally, away from this and the relationship you guys have built?
Yeah, me and him are very close. And come from a similar, like West Coast stereotypical background. And love being from the West Coast and. Definitely bond off of that. So, we definitely, he gives me a lot of advice, not only on the field, but off as well. So.
CJ, last time you all were in Kansas City, Tank had the injury. It was very emotional for you all, but you all had basically tied the game up, with that touchdown. How important is it for you all to get back there, to get past that emotional aspect of it and play the game that you all were playing during that time?
Yeah, it's an emotional sport we play, especially when you be with somebody for so long. You see how hard they work. How much they love the game, and to see Tank go out like that was very tough. And I think even seeing him this weekend at the game and in better spirits, smiling again, gave us like a boost of energy. So, now we got to go do it for him away and in the same stadium he got hurt, but. We got to find a way not to get emotional and to channel that. And I think we'll be able to do that and, just be more inspired than anything and try to get it done for him.
Knowing that you guys are going to play at some really cold temperatures, do you do anything throughout the week? I mean, I think Belichick famously froze footballs or, anything like that to prepare yourself, or you just know what's up?
I don't really have nothing on my sleeve, but, that's kind of one of the reasons I went to Ohio State was to play in the cold and to get used to that. So, I played in cold weather games before.
You play in the cold?
It's different, but it's better than playing when it's wet. So, and then it snows, which is better than if it rains. So, I'm kind of used to them, but at the same time, we really don't play in the cold here, but definitely have been trained by it in college.
Who kind of came up with the T-shirts and just to pass it around before?
I'm so glad he said this too, by the way. CJ was almost my spirit animal on this. I was getting some flack. I thought the T-shirts were too much with Tank Dell. Said it to Texans PR on Saturday. I said, "What time is the Tank Dell funeral?" Because I thought the T-shirts were weird. Where I'm not saying it's a common thing, but I've been to funerals where you put the person on the T-shirt. Remember, and go back to the scene where to put his name on a T-shirt. I thought it was a lot, especially for someone who's alive and is apparently still trying. Big task, but trying to play football. Thought it was interesting. CJ Stroud, kind of my spirit animal on this one.
Game with Tank on it, and how cool was that moment just to have everybody rocking that Tank T-shirt?
Yeah, it's kind of, I don't like it, but I mean, I like that, but it reminds me of the funeral shirts and, that's kind of what we do back home is
you can hear me.
I'd rather, be there for somebody than rather just wear a T-shirt. So, but I don't mind wearing the shirt. But I think our EQ gets them for us, and it's a good way to remember somebody for that year. But I don't want them to ever think like they just on the shirt. Like I actually do check up on my guys who aren't playing no more. Care for them more than just wearing a T-shirt. So, but they're dope. It's a good way. I hope they like.
Doyle says, run, CJ, run. Also learn to slide. We'll hear CJ. Chancellor Johnson asked him about running. We'll hear that in a sec. Appreciate you, Doyle.
Like it, but I think I don't know if I want to be all up on a shirt, but no, I think it's amazing that we do that and everybody shows respect to that person who is out for the rest of the year. But thank God they're not on the other side.
Thank you. That's weird, man.
On the snap, multiple guys said that kind of felt like the turning point, and you kind of just see like the energy pick up. Could you feel that, and why do you think that was, if it was the case?
Yeah, I kind of answered that. I don't really want to go back. It was a crazy play. It was a great job by Hush, but I continue to run, and I try to do my best to salvage the play. But it's ball, and that's kind of how I go. Sometimes it's not how you start, it's how you finish. Like I said, and things like that spark energy. Execution sparks energy. Plays spark energy. So those things are definitely helpful.
CJ, when you were growing up, did you watch a lot of like playoff football? And are there any games that really stuck out to you and you thought maybe one day I could be?
Not to bring it up.
Is that anything that
24-0.
Yeah, I definitely looked up to a lot of guys growing up, and watched these type of games growing up. And, I remember watching Houston play in Kansas City some years back and went up early, and then they ended up coming back, So, and I'm not saying that's how it's going to go, but I remember watching that one. I remember watching all the AFC championships with Burrow and Mahomes, and watched the one with Josh Allen and Mahomes, all those great games. So, I've always wanted to be in these type of moments, which is amazing. I'm able to do it in year 2 again, So I'm definitely not taking it for granted, and definitely, going to try to earn my op and, try to run with it. So,
CJ, looking back at the tape, what do you think you guys kind of captured offensively to kind of get back to, the way you'd like to play that you could carry over to this week against Kansas City?
Just execution, just owning the little things, and finally we've been able to get some practice with some guys, because we didn't really have all these guys in training camp or OTAs. So now we're able to get some guys in that we've been here for a couple weeks now, and moving guys up from practice squad to get more time and reps down. So that showed in the last game. So we try to take that over, just execution. Yeah.
Do you get a chance now to watch any other football? I know you're focused on getting ready for this game. Are you watching any other games right now?
Yeah, I watched all the games this weekend. I watched Jaden. He played amazing, got his first playoff win. So I'm super proud of him, super happy for him. I watched a little bit of Bill's game, took a nap during it. But it was a good game. Josh Allen played great. I thought Bo played good too. What other games was there? I watched the game last night. Yeah, I watched it this weekend, yes.
CJ, you mentioned after the game the message that Aziz had about the impact of the team, impacting everybody else in the organization. His messaging has come up a couple of times since he's come back from his suspension. Just how have you felt his leadership has affected the team since he's come back, and kind of what impact do you think he has, playing this Chiefs game when you guys didn't have him last game?
Yeah, it's huge. He's been a leader since the day one. So that's the first thing and foremost is he's always been a leader, and just because he was out doesn't mean he was even leading. He was leading even when he was out. So, I think just in life, until you make a mistake, you can't gain wisdom. So, when you're on the stage, you make mistakes, and you're held to what your actions, and you learn from them and you move on. And one thing I'm happy for him, he's not living any guilt, any shame, and I'm proud of him for that, for just coming back and just playing really good. And he played great on Saturday. We need him to play great again. He knows that. So his wisdom and his leadership and the ups and downs he's been in his life, and the shoes that he, the background he has, that he grew up. A lot of people don't know Aziz's story. Aziz don't really come from much. And you look at somebody like him, who was the oldest out of a lot of kids in his family. He's had to take care of a lot of his siblings. It ain't been easy, So you make mistakes, you know what I mean? And it's all about how you answer it, no matter what the mistake is. So, I'm very proud of him, and, he's going to be huge for us.
CJ, I know you mentioned, obviously you prefer to stay in the pocket, but what impact do you feel like using your legs last game had on helping out the offense and talking to Joe, he mentioned that he's had conversations with you about wanting you to use your legs more. What do you remember about some of those conversations?
Yeah, he's been talking to me about that for a long time, and I feel like I've been able to kind of do that this year. Throughout the year, I think I ran for like 60 yards against the Jets. It was like probably my career high, which I thought was kind of cool. But yeah, I mean, it's not something I've ever been opposed of. It's just I think I'm elite at throwing the ball in the pocket, but I have been able to extend plays this year, and I think that's a good thing for us. And when it need be, it's not something that I'm just looking for all the time, but definitely is something that I think can help us get an edge on the team. And yeah, I'm more than able and more than capable, and yeah.
Do you feel like you're surprised, like the Chargers a little bit when you got out of the pocket and took off like that? Do you feel like
not really. They kind of shown those looks throughout the week. It was one third down, actually, the one I threw the interception on. I looked and I was like, dang, like there's a wide open. There's nobody accounting for me, and I looked at it on the iPad, and that's learning moments right there. I'm still learning. Year 2 for me. Think I'm ahead of a lot of things, but I'm definitely not perfect. I don't think I ever will be. So I'm always willing to learn, make mistakes, and learn from them. So I'm glad I was able to learn from that and see that look and take it off from there. So yeah.
Last one,
CJ, one of the highest attributes that you've been given is your football IQ. How much of playing against this Kansas City Chiefs team in Week 16 will you be able to use heading into this divisional game?
It's huge, man. Their DC, he's amazing. He does a lot of great blitz packages and plays a lot of sound coverage, bend don't break type of defense, but they make a lot of plays. They attack the football, and they're playing at a high level. They've been able to uphold their team a lot this year, and keep the games close, and it starts up front with Chris Jones, amazing player, and then Nick Bolden, great player. The whole linebacker team communicates very well. Reed in the back doing his thing, and then McDuffie I think is, like I told y'all before, one of the best corners in the league in my opinion, and plays nickel too. So, they do a lot of great things, and their coaches know how to put them in positions to, execute at a high level. So, we got to be on our A game and try to do our best to, withstand the surge early on, and chop wood, carry water throughout the game.
Chop wood, carry water.
All right, you guys have a great one.
Gotcha. There you go. That's CJ Stroud. Interesting. He's got to use the legs. That can't be optional. He's got to use the legs. They got to get Joe Mixon involved in the pass game. It's just enough is enough with that. You've got to get that going. Let's take a look at the injury report today at practice. Let me pull this up. The injury report. We got it on X. There we go. Let's put that size up. There you go. So the injury report for the Texans, we have a couple of things that kind of stick out a little bit, I would say. Nothing too big, although some things definitely bigger than others. We have Alshire. He didn't practice. They let him have a one-on-one with Will Kunkel. I don't think they would do that if he weren't going to play. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about Will Anderson or Autry. Nico's limited. That's rest. Shaq Mason, don't anticipate Shaq Mason playing, even if he's healthy. Who knows? Although Drew Scruggs not practicing, something to keep an eye on. He's had trouble staying healthy. Schultz limited, isn't he always? Quintariano full go. Anticipate him being activated. And then you have Woods with the DNP. Notice there's no Christian Harris there. Christian Harris was full speed, and he was actually moving better than I think I've seen him all year. So Demeco says he's trying to work his way back. I almost think that's more so trying to find a place where he fits in. I think he might fit in a little bit more in the Chiefs game, just based on what they got. But if you're worried about Christian Harris being like extremely hurt, I don't think you're ever not worried about it. But as far as him being on the injury report right now, I wouldn't be overly concerned about that. We'll get to some of the questions in the second. First, though, let's kind of follow the money, see what we got here on BetUS. So what I'm going to do this week, over 17.5, good value. You're getting plus 110 on that. So we're going to go 220 on the Texans over 17.5. Do I feel good about the offense? No. But plus 7.5, let's take that. BetUS actually has the Texans at plus 9 as well. I'm actually going to kind of hedge that, and I'm going to show you a little bit of a trick here. I think it's either going to be, I think the Texans, if they win, first of all, it'd be shocking. So we're going to take it at plus 390 for $100. So if you bet $100, if the Texans win, you get 390. So you'll get 490 back. So I'm going to put 100 on the Texans to win. And then I'm going to put the Chiefs. This is even money. I'm going to put the Chiefs minus 9 at 100. So if the Chiefs win, you win $100 and it'll be no harm, no foul if they cover. But if the Texans win, then instead of the 390, I'll get 290. So I'm kind of cheating the system there. If it's less than 9, then damn, charge it to the game. That's a $200 L. But I like kind of balancing that, and I did the same thing against the Chargers and ended up winning a little bit of a pretty good value with that. BetUS also has their live casino going on. That always makes me nervous, the live casino stuff. So I'm not necessarily into that. It's a big thing though. A lot of people, I know some people who've won pretty big on that if you want to check that out. For the props, we'll get to those a little later in the week. But that's a good way to peep that scene. A lot of you are talking about the Stover thing. I think you go and look at the final drive of the game. He laid someone out, and he immediately kind of grabbed the shoulder. Didn't make too much of a scene. Didn't really need a lot of medical attention. But I'm told the final drive of the game, go check that out and see how that whole thing goes. Rolo Hendricks on the chat. Again, this one's going to be a short. I got a hell of a headache, and we got a hell of a long day tomorrow. Serious question. How do you feel about this ref group? I see a defensive holding call coming in a crucial drive to help extend the Chiefs' opportunity as usual. Happens every time. I haven't really thought about the ref group. I know that the head official, it's been brought up. Them getting calls is a thing. I don't know about like the specific ref group or anything like that. Brandon says, Hunter spent all that time in Minnesota, definitely never experienced cold. They play indoors, brother. Like they play indoors. That's the whole point, is the game being outside, not necessarily walking to your car or anything like that. They have a dome in Minnesota, brother. I think that's a little bit different playing outside than in the dome. R Junior, go ahead and hit me with the race card. Your wish is my command.
Race card.
He says, but that putting your loved one on the t-shirt is some hood stuff we used to do. Texans PR need to cut it out, LOL. Yeah, I've been to 2 funerals and they were brothers.
Race card.
With the t-shirt. My boy Melvin Clemens back in the day. And my boy Aaron Jordan back in the day. And yeah, it was African Americans. So there was definitely t-shirts. For sure. Space City Ballers. I love how everyone is counting us out again. Yeah, that's a thing. It's the Chiefs. So yeah, I think the other 3 teams are getting a lot of love. The Texans are almost being looked at as kind of a speed bump towards the AFC Championship game. Fair or not. If we win, CJ is the best QB in franchise history, says Nathan Palmer. I still think Deshaun was better 2 years in, like just as far as the type of quarterback. I think Deshaun was in top 5 discussion after year 2 and 3. I think CJ has the best makeup. I think his surroundings, you can make a case like as far as the way in which the offense functions, you can make a case that's worse than Deshaun. He's going to be the winningest. But I'm not going to hate. I think Deshaun was better at this point. I think CJ will definitely eventually be the best. But if he does win this, I think you're probably right. That would be the dialogue. But I think Deshaun was probably a little bit better after year 2. We'll see what happens after year 3. Doyle says, all y'all keep bitching about the cold. It's easier to get warm than it is cold. That is not true in football. There is a big difference in teams from cold weather and domes going on the road in the cold this time of the year than there is the other way around. So no, that's definitely not true at all, especially in the NFL, especially this time of the year when you're going on the road in the cold. That is definitely not true. And let's be honest, cold weather, like when you drive past the park in Houston when it's cold, you're not seeing people hanging out there. You drive out there when it's 110, it's packed. People are enjoying the outdoor weather. No one truly enjoys cold weather. They say they do. You ain't going outside and enjoying it. You're not going around something that's the equivalent of the swimming pool. My walking trail behind the house isn't as crowded when it's cold. It's a lot more crowded when it's hot. But yeah, the players do not like the cold. Kansas City receivers damn sure don't like the cold. I think most people don't. So I don't agree with that. Why does the media always use the 2019 game as reference? Nothing about this team resembles that 2019 team. I don't know what that means. 2019 team, let's be honest, that loss ended up being good because it was kind of the beginning of the end for Bill O'Brien. Like in the big scheme of things, he wasn't going to coach his way to a Super Bowl. He obviously got nervous. The moment was too big for him. He kind of exposed himself a little bit in more ways than one. He showed his naked ass there. Bill O'Brien just got scared. But I don't know. CJ brought it up. That's the first that I've heard of it brought up this year. So I don't know why the media is always. You'd have to be more specific on that. I'm not noticing that. Will says, "What do we do with Shaq Mason next year? If you cut him, you only save $2 million nightmare contract." Yeah, it's a bad contract. I don't know if it's as bad as Schultz though. Like if you look at what everybody else in the playoffs literally is getting from their tight end, Kelsey's Kelsey. Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely are better than him. I would say Kincaid and Knox are better than him. So Buffalo has 2 tight ends better than him. The Ravens have 2 tight ends better than him. The Chiefs have 2 tight ends better than him too. Detroit, obviously, they got a better situation there. Yeah, I would say every team in the league has at least 1 tight end better than Dalton Schultz. So yeah, the Shaq is bad. So is the Schultz. As long as we contain Travis Kelce, we'll be good. I don't even know if he's someone that you really focus on. I think you got to contain their speedy receivers, be physical with them, and all that. I think that's really, really important. So we'll keep an eye on that for sure. Someone says hit the high G. It's good for the cold.
High-grade marijuana called Kush on the streets.
Don't threaten me with a good time. Appreciate y'all for coming through. Again, this one quick. BetUS promo code YouTube150 for up to $2,000 back. Going to be a really, 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 really big day tomorrow. A lot of activity. We'll hear from Bobby Slowick. I'll be on the scene, as will Cody. SNL live at 4. Colin says, "What's up, Landry?" From a Chiefs fan. The game is going to be a competitive-ass game, and I won't be amazed if the Texans win the game. That's interesting. We'll see. Shout out to you. Shout out to the Chiefs. Hell of a team. I root against them, but I think it's there's a lot of respect that NFL fans have for what the Chiefs do. Shout out to Patrick Mahomes. He is from the state of Texas, though. Don't you forget about that. So we'll see how it works out. It's going to be really, really fun. Appreciate y'all for coming through. Shout out to Cliff as well. Shout out to Chiefs Kingdom. Going to be fun. The barbecue wars, haven't really seen much of that. That's good because that's one of the biggest beatdowns of the whole thing. So I'll be at practice tomorrow, and we'll get this whole thing done. CJ Stroud, use your legs. Demeco Ryans, cold weather sucks. You know it. I know it. Everyone knows it. Sometimes the refs suck too, but who cares? It's going to be fun. It's going to be exciting. We got the 9-point line. We got the 8-point line. It's going to be interesting. We're all in it together. Appreciate y'all for coming through. Hour tomorrow, hour the next night. And then the live stream on Saturday. Shout out to the Chiefs fans. Shout out to the Texans fans. It's the funnest time of the year. Let's eat.
Landlocked, got the game in the headlock. Localized every time, can't stop, won't stop. Yeah, we top 2 and we not 2. Plugged in daily digital on YouTube. We got taste for days, opinions to give. We got takeaways.